What's up, everybody? Jonathan Javier here, CEO, founder of Wonsulting. I just spoke to Ennis, and it was hype to say the least, where we spoke about lots of different things in regards to mindset, networking, you name it, it's there. You better watch. And definitely, if you found it insightful, make a LinkedIn post about it, talk about it on social media, because we want to see each and every one of you turn from an underdog into a winner, just as Wonsulting's mission is.
Welcome. I'm excited today because we have a very special guest in the building. He's a career coach, content creator, corporate speaker, and CEO of Wonsulting, a career consulting agency that turns underdogs into winners. It's the one and only Jonathan Javier. Jonathan, thank you for taking the time today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I love podcasts. So let's get it going.
Let's do it. All right. So the first question I like to ask my guests is if you could teach everyone in the world one topic or concept relating to either life or business, what topic would that be?
Yeah, rejection. Now, why do I say rejection? It's applicable to anything in life. And I'll tailor this towards the job search because job search is kind of my forte. But what happens when people get rejected is organically or just naturally, they feel like they're not good enough and they retract, right? But the thing is, when you get rejected from a job, for example, instead of looking at that no, you look at the yeses. That's so important because rejection is truly redirection as long as you react to it in the right way. It's all about how you apply what you've learned from that rejection to future applications in this case. So if I were able to teach someone, job search is all about mindset. You will get a job as long as you keep on going. I think the average tenure that someone does not have a job from, or the longest amount, is about a year. Like I haven't heard that many people not having a job for a year span. The people who get the jobs are the people that look at the rejections, put them to the side, and look at the people who say yes rather than no. So that's what I would teach because it's applicable to everything. It's applicable to dating. It's applicable to meeting people, etc. It's applicable to everything.
Yeah, I like to say if you really want something, you'll be okay with 100 no's for that one yes.
Exactly that. The one yes is all you need, and you'll need one job at the end of the day. So always focus on the one yes, because that will help you get over the imposter syndrome, as they call it, imposter syndrome, where you don't feel like you're good enough, when in fact you are. You just got to keep on going.
Absolutely. That's sales 101, guys.
Exactly.
So your mission with Wonsulting is to turn underdogs into winners, right? What does it mean to you, Jonathan, to be an underdog, and why is empowering, underdogs so important to you?
Yeah, like when I was growing up and when I went to college and when I was on my job search, I always felt like an underdog because, like I said before, I was getting rejected from all these different roles. And what happened was I would blame my university or external factors that had nothing to do with my own work ethic. That's what happens a lot in today's society. We blame things that have nothing to do with our work ethic or our mindset. And then we utilize that as kind of a victim card that we're not achieving our goals and ambitions. So what I did was, instead of being like, dang, I'm not getting these jobs, I'm not getting into the dream companies that I aspired to get into, I instead had to utilize unconventional methods to get to where I wanted to be. And that's how I was actually able to work at Snapchat, Google, Cisco, and help thousands of people land jobs at thousands of different companies, just all from these unconventional strategies, which sounds silly at first, but they are the most key, low-key tactics that we teach at Wonsulting on the daily to get people into their careers. But yeah, basically how it all stemmed was the Davids being the Goliaths. It's what's come from the book Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath. It's like, how do the UC Merceds, UC Riversides get into the dream companies that the Stanfords, the Harvards get into more easily, right? Sometimes the difference between the two is simply opportunities. You just have to go seek the opportunities rather than you just waiting for it to come to you. So that's basically just bridging the gap between those who come from non-target schools and non-traditional backgrounds to help them get into their dream careers.
Definitely. And what sort of, you mentioned external factors that you had. What external factors did you have, like playing, I guess, against you, right? Like your mindset. Yeah. And at what point did that switch flip for you?
Yeah, two things, and it has to do with school and background. All right. So
Okay.
number one, with school, UC Riverside did not have a lot of companies that came to recruit from the school. So what I happen is when I would get rejected from the roles, I would be like, oh, it's because of the school I attend. It's because I don't go to a Harvard or an Ivy
Mm.
League school. Right. But the thing is, you can get into these companies without going to one of those big name schools. You just have to be able to utilize your networking capabilities, and you can't simply just send in an application. The mistake that people make, always tell me, and it says literally, oh, I've been applying to all these different jobs and getting rejected from them. The reason why you're getting rejected is because you're applying. Now, it sounds kind of stupid, right? Like you have to apply to get a job. If I told you that none of my jobs I actually ever applied to them, would you believe me? Probably not. But the thing is, LinkedIn and utilizing social media to grow your personal brand, which allows you to be a great candidate and qualified candidate, will get you there. So that's the first part of what I blamed in the
Mm.
beginning. The second part was my background. So when I was working at the corporate companies, I was the only Filipino. Nobody else was Filipino there. And I would think to myself, dang, there's no Filipinos here, right? And instead of just thinking like, okay, I'm the only person who comes from my background, I instead wanted to bridge that gap and help other people who come from underrepresented backgrounds get into these companies. Because when
Yeah.
I joined the employee resource groups, you could actually see that you are not alone. That's what happens a lot. And it's especially those who come from underrepresented backgrounds, they think they're alone on the job search in the corporate companies, when in fact, you're not. There are groups out there. And it's important to exemplify those stories, which I love to do on LinkedIn. You probably see all the time where we got 20 people jobs this past week. I love to exemplify those stories because those are the ones that motivate others to get into their dream career.
Absolutely, super inspiring. So you went to UC Riverside, and you were blaming your education background as to why you weren't able to get into the tech companies, right?
Mhm.
What how did you land your first job? I think it was at Snapchat, right? What sort of
Mhm.
creative ways did you use to get in there?
Yeah, it was crazy. I'll give a quick breakdown of it because I have such an extensive way of how I got in, and it's really crazy. So I reached out to a recruiter, and so what happened was this. Let's break it down. So someone in my network liked a post. They liked it and they
Mm.
commented on it. Now, everybody who's listening in right now, if you're on your job search and you see a post that someone's hiring, I repeat, do not like and comment on it. Now, why do I say this? It's because your network's going to see it. And who's your network? Your network are other job seekers. So, what happened was someone liked and commented on it. I saw it. I basically sent a message to the recruiter, right? So, sent a message to the recruiter. She didn't respond at first. I sent another message. Where's my resume? Then she responded saying, hey, could you send me an email? And I sent her an email. She didn't respond again. I sent another message. Ennis, you know how long this took? From March to August. That's like 5 months, right?
Of you just
Literally
following up.
following up
Okay.
5 months, right? Took 5 months. She finally interviewed me. I crushed it. She then moved me to the final round. We were supposed to have another round, but she moved me to the final round. She's like, hey, we're going to go to the office. And I knew, I was like, I have to stand out. I have to. So I went to Dollar Tree. I literally bought a yellow folder because Snapchat is yellow. It sounds really ridiculous, right?
That's smart. Yeah.
And what happened was I did a project in class utilizing geolocation technology, and I printed that project and I put in my folder, put my cover letter, I put my business cards, and I put my resume. It's a fat folder. And so I went to the interview and I had a case study. The case study was literally what I learned from my class. So I was like, perfect, did it all. The recruiters and hiring managers, or the two hiring managers, after I went through exactly what their system was, they were like, how'd you know the whole system? I kid you not, I pulled out that yellow folder from under my chair. I put it on the desk and I said, I already did your whole project. I already know your whole system. It's for my class. I swear they
Hired.
looked at each other, they smiled, they hired me 1 hour after. Actually, Business Insider picked up the story and featured it on the front page, which is pretty crazy. But why I'm saying this is not to be like, oh, wow, this guy did all this stuff. It's because when you get your dream company, for everybody listening in, when you get an opportunity from your dream company, my question to you is this: do you do the bare minimum, or do you just do the maximum where you don't put anything on the table? You don't leave anything on the table. That's my mindset. Whenever you get an opportunity that you can never pass up and it's your dream opportunity, you go all out. Doesn't matter what other people think. I think people get scared and be like, is this overdoing it? Would you rather overdo it? Would you rather underdo it? That's my question to everybody listening in. Overdo it, because the overdoing can lead to an opportunity.
Totally, dude. If you don't stand out in a way, you're just with the crowd, and then it just comes down to skills. And honestly, like especially for me, and if you're an underdog, there's always someone more talented than you, right? It's just the
Exactly.
work that you're willing to put in, and the thinking outside the box, right? Part of it. Okay, so you land Snapchat. How long did you? What year was this?
This is 2017. So August 2017. Yeah. So about 3.5 years ago.
Where were you based out of? Like in the Huntington? Where was
I would,
it? Venice
yeah.
Beach? What was
So
it?
it was crazy. So I was actually in Downey, and the
Okay.
office was in Santa Monica. And why I say
Mm.
it's crazy is because, I kid you not, Ennis, I had to drive 4 hours commute every day, like
Four
every
hours?
day. Yeah, like 2 hours there, 2 hours back.
Jeez,
And I couldn't live in Santa Monica because I couldn't afford it.
it's expensive.
It
Yeah.
was expensive. And so I had a 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift just to beat traffic, right? And it would be Sunday to Thursday working. And I only got paid $20 an hour.
Jeez. Wait,
But the
what were
thing
you
is,
doing? What were you doing? What were you doing? What was your like, I
yeah,
guess, official job title?
yeah, it was operations specialist. So I was doing a lot of the operations, working with our users in regards to different pain points and feedback to incorporate
Uh-huh.
into the application. So this was right after IPO, like literally
Mhm.
right after IPO. So we were just trying to integrate in regards to how do we make the user experience better, and getting that feedback to implement to our product teams and engineering teams.
Dang. Okay, because the reason why I asked like the year is because I know someone who, because I graduated 2017 too, and he got a job straight out of there in Santa Monica. He was telling me like the rent, because I'm up in Seattle, so he had to move down, and the rent was just crazy. It was like $3,400 for like a little
It's
studio or something
insane.
like that.
It's insane. It's crazy. But the thing is, I actually moved there like a few months ago, but I actually moved somewhere else after because it was just expensive. But like there wasn't any no one was going out because obviously the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
but it's crazy how like 3 years later I was able to move there because I started my own company.
That's crazy. Okay, so I want to talk about Wonsulting, but before that, just to give my listeners some context. So after Snapchat, you went on to work for Google, right?
Work at
And
Google.
then and then Cisco, and you were thriving in your career. You know, you're building the right relationships, advancing, getting promoted and whatnot. And what made you to decide to leave that comfortable job, right? And start Wonsulting?
Yeah, I can't even say the word
Don't
comfortability.
worry, I could barely talk
Comfortability
today.
versus risks, right? Especially since
Mm,
we're younger, we're in our 20s, right?
right,
I
right.
always believe that taking risks, but calculated risks. So when I worked in the corporate companies, the reason why I wanted to work in the corporate companies was to learn exactly how they recruited, which allowed
Mm,
me to help other people get into their careers, right?
mm,
Because I think what happens is like, I know there's a lot of people out there that are teaching people how to get jobs, which is absolutely amazing. But the thing is, have you worked in those companies? So I told myself, why don't I make myself a value prop where I work at these companies, like actually work for them or work at them and see how they recruit. And so that's why I worked at those companies. Like people always ask me, Jonathan, three companies, 3 years. That's the only reason why. Like, would you believe me if I told you all these strategies and I never worked at these companies? Right. See, so that's exactly why I worked at those companies. And then when basically I was growing Wonsulting when I was at Google and Cisco, that's when I told myself, okay, like let's just do it because there's a need and there's a niche that I was in, which allowed me to take it full time with one of my business partners, Jerry Lee, and allowed us to grow and scale to millions of people viewing our content and signing up for our services and attending our classes, which is wonderful. So, and last but not least, it's something I'm passionate about. It's something I enjoy doing every single day. So for everybody listening in, if you find something that you love doing every single day, regardless of monetary compensation, that's what you should pursue because happiness is the best part about working. But work is not even work if you're being happy.
oh, I couldn't agree more. So I want to touch on something that you just said. So you mentioned that you already knew that you wanted to start a business before you even joined those companies. Is that right?
So I actually figured it out when I was working at Google because there
Okay.
wasn't a lot of people that came from my background. And then also like Ennis, like in college, for some reason, I was helping everybody get jobs. their dream
This was in
jobs
college.
in college. But
So what were you doing?
myself,
Like, yeah, go ahead.
I was doing workshops, I was redoing people's resumes.
Okay.
And the ridiculous part is I didn't even have a job.
Right.
So it was like, what the heck? Right. I was
Yeah.
like, dang, I want to get into my dream job. And I realized my dream job after years being in corporate was to get people their dream jobs. That's when I realized it.
Okay. And it took a while before you even landed that first job, just so everyone understands that it wasn't smooth sailing for you. You got rejected a bunch of times too, right?
Yeah, it's all about success is never linear. There's always going to be bumps in the road, but it's how you persevere over those bumps. Do you drive a Tesla over the bumps or do you drive a truck over it? Obviously, the truck is going to do better, but you know what I mean? So it's all about getting through those rejections, like I said before in the beginning. Rejections, redirection. And if you don't look at rejections as setbacks and instead as comebacks, you're going to be able to get into your career.
Totally, totally. Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, how much were you making at Cisco?
At Cisco,
Yeah,
I was closest, probably around six figures.
six figures. Okay, so you left that, or what happened with that situation?
Yeah. So I was there for about a year. What happened was, so with COVID, the COVID-19 layoffs, basically they outsourcing our whole team. I know I've been through two outsourcing in the past, and three of the companies, which is totally fine. All right. But the thing is, they wanted me to come back because I was actually like a speaker there too as well. So I was very involved with the early career network, and I spoke for. I was selected to speak for Great Place to Work, all these different things. They wanted me to come back, but then Wonsulting just grew like crazy because we were helping so many people. And I realized I was
Mhm.
like, dang, I'm only 25. All right. I might as well just do it, like risk it. But it wasn't even a risk. It was something I was very comfortable and happy with. Like I'm so happy every single day. I kid you not. I'm just so happy. Like just like I do a podcast right now. All right. I don't have to worry about a manager looking at me and being like, Jonathan, is this due?
Oh
That's
my
what life's
God.
about, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, basically, I was at Cisco for a year. The reason why I went to Cisco was Cisco has such a good work-life balance. I was able to balance Wonsulting and Cisco at the same time. They really
Mm.
supported it too as well.
So you said you're Filipino. Are you first generation
Yeah. Yeah.
Immigrant?
So
Okay.
for,
Yeah.
first
So
one from
so
my family, my brother technically, but yeah, in the States. So
yeah. So are your siblings? I think you have two siblings, right?
yeah, I have an older brother and then a younger sister.
Yeah. So are they doing the corporate gigs and everything like that?
So my brother is a teacher. I really
Okay.
respect him because he teaches. And my sister is actually, she's following my footsteps. She's utilizing all the consulting strategies. She actually got an offer for Flight House, which is one of the biggest media agencies on TikTok. And then she got an offer for NBC Universal for this summer. And she's only a sophomore, which is, I find that awesome.
Dude, I would have. I wish that would have been me when I was in college. I was applying to
Right?
hundreds of jobs, man, with no luck.
Exactly.
So good on her, man. All right. So you're basically the only entrepreneur in the family, right?
hmm
So how did your, I guess, parents react to when, you wanted to leave your job and just go into uncertainty? Because I come from a first generation immigrant family too, and it was kind of tough. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious what your experience was with that.
It's probably very similar to yours. Like Filipinos are very like a lot of us are nurses and a lot of us are in medical field, right? So at
Yeah.
first my family wanted me to go in medical field, didn't do it. But when I told them about my entrepreneurship and I was like, I'm gonna do this full time, they were like, are you sure? Do you have a consistent pay, a consistent base pay? Are you gonna be able to pay for health insurance? The thing is, like, that's fine, right? Like, I've honestly saved a lot of money to, like, if there's a rainy day, I'll be able to be okay, right? The thing is, in life, you have to take calculated risks in order for you to get to where you want to be and be, for example, financially independent, right?
Hmm.
And why I've always wanted to be my own boss is because I realized that when you have your own baby, when you have your own baby, is meaning company, when you have your own company, it's just really cool. It's really awesome because everything you do, and you have to be really mindful of this, everything you do, especially on social media, reflects your company too. Like Ennis, I'm telling you, I help so many people get jobs. I give to the world. I get a lot of hate too. It's fine though, right? Focus on the yeses. You focus on the people who support you rather than people who don't. I think that's what always motivates me every single day to share my story and help people get into jobs. So when my parents saw that, they were happy. they're happy.
Yeah.
And if my parents are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. And usually, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually the haters come from like your own type. You know what I mean? Is that the same thing with you?
Yeah, honestly, it's interesting. Like the mindset
Mm,
of most people when they see someone, and I see this all the time, and it's something you have to obtain and something you have to grow in. When someone comments bad on your post, when someone puts something on a content,
mm.
you retract and you say, "Oh, this person said something bad about me." It's one person. Look at the other 50 that said good things. But our minds are so set on looking at the negative aspects of life, the same with job search, that we are just so set and that affects our mood. The one comment that used to be like me 2 years ago. I'd be like, this person had a random comment on my post. I don't care anymore. Right. The reason why I do care a little bit, but the
Yeah.
reason why I don't care as much is because do we focus on the people? I think what happens a lot too is we will focus on pleasing people who don't already like us.
Right.
Right. Focus on people who already support you. That's 99% of people.
Right.
You got to focus on 99%. I call it the 99% rule. That's just my kind of rule.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it comes from their own insecurity, right? They see
Mm-hmm.
someone who's with a similar background taking action and they haven't. And now all of a sudden that person's, getting things done and they're not. And it kind of makes them salty.
Exactly. And
You
if I was
know?
going to say the
Yeah.
people who are above you will never like talk bad about you,
Yep. They
right?
don't have
No
time to,
one
right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Gary Vee and Steve Ballmer's not going to go to you and be like, yo, I hate what you're doing. No, the people usually who aren't doing anything are going to be the ones like doing that. The people who are up there are going to be the ones who are going to be supporting you.
Definitely, definitely. All right. So another topic that I wanted to talk to you about, which I think you're really really good at, is networking. Right?
Yes, I love it.
Super strategic about it too. Um, for those that are about to graduate out of college, or have been affected by COVID layoffs, similar to you. But what advice do you have for them in terms of like reaching out, right, to recruiters or whatnot? And yeah, what tips do you have for them?
Yeah, I would say there's two different parts of recruiting. It's proactive recruiting and
Okay.
reactive recruiting. Now, proactive recruiting is basically you reaching out to people, whether it's professionals, recruiters, or hiring managers, to get a job or get opportunities or insights. So, for those who are graduating, newly graduated, of course you can apply to roles, but I would not put all my eggs into one basket with applying to roles. I would actually put it like this: I put 80% networking and 20% applying. Now, the 80% networking is extremely important because those are going to be the people who get your foot in the door and refer you for roles. The mistake that people make is they do 100% applications, they get rejected from all of them. And what they'll do is they'll spend 5 hours on an application for one, and they'll get
Mm,
rejected, which exhibits imposter syndrome. Do not do that if you're a job seeker. If you're a job seeker, this is going to sound like a stretch. This is sound crazy. I used to reach out to 100 people a week, 100 people, right? It
just through
sounds like a
LinkedIn
lot
or what?
on LinkedIn. It sounds
Okay.
like a lot, right? It's actually not a lot. I did 50 people in 60 minutes before. It's not that hard. The thing is, the mistake that people make and why I keep saying mistake is because people will reach out to 5 people and then they won't respond and then they think they're not good enough anymore. The more people you reach out to, the better. Who cares if they don't respond? If they don't respond, move on to the next person. There's 70 million people on LinkedIn. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? You segment it based off these three criteria. Number one, people from alumni or organizations you're a part of. Number two, hiring managers and recruiters who are for recruiting directly for your roles. And number three, people who are in the exact position you are interested in getting into. So, for example, let's say I'm interested in marketing specialists. I go reach out to an alumni who works at let's say Facebook in marketing. I reach out to a hiring manager, so a marketing recruiter at Facebook. And number three, I reached out to a marketing specialist who's at Facebook. See, because you have three different segments of who you reach out to. What most people do is they reach out to one segment and they don't hear back. You got to
Mm,
diversify. So that's my first piece of advice for proactive recruiting. Now, reactive recruiting is when opportunities come to you instead of you having to seek opportunities. Everybody listening in, on Google, I want you to search Wonsulting Wendy, literally Wonsulting Wendy. Select the first link. The first link is a fictional character of a profile of exactly what you should put in your LinkedIn profile. It's free. There's no strings attached. You have to have a perfect LinkedIn profile because the LinkedIn profile is what recruiters look at for 7 seconds and be like, do I want to keep talking to Ennis or do I want to keep looking at this profile? And then when you're reaching out to people, if your profile isn't complete, they're just going to be like, I don't want to talk to this person. Have opportunities come to you instead of you always having to seek opportunities. Lastly, make content. Gary Vee talks about 52 pieces of content a day. People think that's ridiculous. I think it's true. 52 pieces of content is not actually hard to do. Put out content into there. If you can make a piece of content every single day, that's great. Don't care about what other people think in regards to you posting so much. I stress this because before I'd be like, what's my audience going to think of? What are people going to think of me? Most people, there's no negative part of you posting content, unless it's very controversial, right? So post content which shares your story, which will allow people to also share a common ground with you, which will lead to opportunities.
Most definitely. It's all about personal branding now versus doing the generic stuff. Okay, so you mentioned it's a numbers game, right? The more people you reach out to, the more responses you get. What are your thoughts on templated emails versus personalized emails?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I have a lot of templates. I actually just posted one on TikTok today.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, search Wonsulting TikTok on Google and you can go find a lot of the templates or on the Wonsulting resources on our website. But there's two different variations, like you said, email templates and personalized ones. Now for email templates, if you are doing a cold outreach to someone, you can utilize an email template in order for you to see who responds, right? It's more so of how many people you reach out to, et cetera, right? So that's the first part. You can just have an email template because that'll allow you to email people quicker. I would actually recommend doing LinkedIn message rather than emailing. That's just me, because I would just think that emails are kind of weird. Just random cold emails, right? But if you have met this person, if you have spoken to this person, you've interviewed with them, you've built rapport already, that should be personalized. Now, why do I say that? Because you already know more about the person because you already spoke about them. It would be weird if you sent them a template and everyone else got it. I think that would just be kind of weird, right? So, but yeah, I would do a mix of both of them. You don't have to personalize everything, right? Like a simple personalized invite template is like, hi, Ennis, hope you're doing well. My name is Jonathan. I'm CEO, founder of Wonsulting. I saw that you worked at X company in Y position. I'd love to connect and learn from you. Like that's a simple template. It's kind of personalized because you put the company in the position, but something like that. It's very simple, but it doesn't take as much thought process. Last but not least, if you're doing personalized, take something from their about section on LinkedIn. Their about section always has a personal story.
Nice. Okay, that's really good advice. And I'll be sure to put the link to that template in the description for sure. I'll get that from you. Speaking of personal branding, what tips do you have? Because I know you've grown your TikTok. I think in just the year 2020, last year. What do you guys have, like 500,000 followers now? Which is congrats. Like I said, that's awesome. And then like on LinkedIn, you've got over 100, and then on Instagram, you've got a little over 100 too, right? 100,000. So that's like almost 1 million followers in total. What is your advice on creating content?
Yeah.
Like I guess getting seen.
I'll give 3 examples. So number 1, just posting, but posting something meaningful that's value to your audience. Valuable content. Do not post just to post, create valuable content. And with that, you should post on multiple platforms. I think people get mistakenly, or they just stick to one platform, which they'll grow on. But what I think about always is, if LinkedIn disappeared, what would I have? You know what I mean? That's what people have to think of. You got to be posting on multiple platforms, and you got to move everybody from multiple platforms. I move everybody from LinkedIn to Instagram. I move everybody from Instagram to TikTok. I move everybody from TikTok to YouTube. See? So that's the one part. The second part is grow your brand off other people's brand. Now, that's very important. Yeah. So you find people who are in your niche. So let's say, example, I am in job search or like early careers. You find people with high levels or high volume of followers, and you go, basically, you will leave. It's kind of Gary Vee's $1.80 strategy, but you will go leave a comment on their post and give your 2 cents.
Mm.
That's very important because then you build your brand off another person's brand and people will be like, who the heck is this guy, Jonathan? See what I mean? If you're just starting off, I would actually do that. For every post, I would go look at the hashtag, whatever it is, job search, and go comment on people's posts. That's the second part. Last but not least, like I said before, don't be cautious of what other people think that have different opinions than you. People retract and won't make content because they see a negative comment. I'm telling you, Ennis, I get people who make fake profiles and will send me messages cussing at me for no reason, right?
Of
But the
people
thing
you
is,
know or what?
oh, I don't even know. They have
Oh,
zero followers and
oh,
zero following. Yeah. So it's like what I say is it's all a mental game. You just got to keep on going. Right. So if you're going to be making content, always remember if you grow big, you're going to have people who just have different opinions than you, and that's okay. You just got to be comfortable with doing that and comfortable with keeping the foot on the gas and growing. So I give those three different points for those who are trying to grow on social media.